Hey, what's going on, guys? FlynnMasters coming at you with another video, and I'll be continuing on with my chef ranking series, as today I'll be ranking every contestant of Season 14 from my least favorite, and this should be a fun one, as Season 14, while super talented and beloved cast, since they are so beloved, it's going to be tough to separate them, but you know, I got a job to do, so let's get this list started with the obvious worst chef this season, both cooking and personality-wise, in Monique. I mean, right from the get-go, she pissed me off, acting like, you know, Ramsay was in the wrong when she served pre-made jam, and in general was just constant complaining about her team and even Ramsay's decision to eliminate her, despite her like far and away being the worst chef of the season. Well, not far and away, but being an awful chef. So like, not an all-time bad chef or anything, you know, especially personality-wise, but definitely stands out in the worst of reasons this season. At number 17 is one of the most forgettable chefs ever in Cameron, and yeah, I definitely do regret not picking him for Season 14's most forgettable chef, because at least to me, he always had that iconic bad plea where he literally told Ramsay he was scared of him. But yeah, other than that, just nothing there. And onto the person who I did choose for the most forgettable chef of the season, Mika. And yeah, I mean, still, there's nothing really noteworthy about her. Although I will say her elimination ceremony is one of the better ones in Hell's Kitchen history, which is what makes her a bit more memorable than Cameron to me, and that's why she ranks just above him. At number 15 is an interesting chef, and that is Brendan. And on paper, he's forgettable despite being, you know, at the mercy of the infamous rage of Millie. But the big thing was, it did appear that Brendan proved Millie right with his outrage, with his elimination quote, saying that the other chefs there, like, they would worship, you know, would be lucky to work for him and should worship him, you know, despite not doing well at all this season. So I mean, he definitely had some potential and could have done really well on a different season, I'm sure. And hey, just imagine how much HK history changes had he not sucked on episode 6 and Nick gone home. But yeah, that one quote, you know, despite the potential positives from Brendan, you know, that one quote really did sour my opinion of him. At number 14 is another forgettable chef from the season, but had a good underdog run in Christine. And yeah, she could have very easily been an early boot this season, but made it to the halfway point of the competition, and kudos to her for that. And of course, the other unfortunate victim of the one-on-one Cook for Your Life challenge, you know, seemed nice enough, really cute, appreciate her fight on a tough season like this. So all of that is just enough to land her at 14, just above the other forgettable boots. At number 13 is Adam, who had a good personality and seemed ready to go at all times. You know, again, as you know by now, I really like those characters, but was just simply overshadowed by the other boot team members and left too soon. You know, and obviously not only that, but his elimination episode was overshadowed by a rather interesting incident. So again, a fine enough chef who I'm sure, again, could have easily done well on a different season, possibly made a black jacket, but that just wasn't meant to be this season. At number 12 is the 12th place finisher in Sarah, who was a chef to be outcasted for some reason by the red team as a weak link. Like, she wasn't great, obviously, but like, you had people like Christine and Mika on the team, and Sarah of all people was the go-to weak link. Like, that just never made sense to me. You know, so I always felt bad for her. So I can't have her too high. She ranks, you know, higher than probably others would have her, as I, you know, just kind of feel bad for her, and, you know, would have been interested to see what she could have done had she not been such an outcast. But we're now on to talking about some of the more memorable chefs this season, with number 11 being one of the most iconic first boots ever in Krista. And Krista is one of the most clueless chefs ever, and that's what makes her so funny. And that's the thing, she didn't really do anything bad cooking-wise. Like, obviously, you know, her signature dish was just hilarious. Like, she was, her reaction to Ramsay's just absolutely just spinning out and tearing apart was priceless. But like, the reason why she got eliminated is because she was just so insanely lost and clueless in the kitchen. It's just absolutely hilarious TV. You know, her saying she has to pee before service. It just, in general, her entire one episode run is just so funny, and there's a reason why she's an all-around amazing first boot. And at number 10 is the other donkey of the season of Michael, and I've always said he was even more of a donkey than Chris in my opinion. Again, his episode 3 performance is one of my all-time favorite episodes due to him just being so clueless throughout. Obviously, you had him making lunch by himself, almost burning Brett's hand and then trying to take that burnt pan away from Ramsay while he was holding it with a towel with his bare hand. Like, what the hell was he thinking? So I mean, I think what makes season 14 so good to me is, like, yeah, it's talented, but it's not too talented, you know, especially early on. And Krista and especially Michael are main reasons for that. At number 9 is the most polarizing chef this season, which is why he's at number 9 in the middle here, with that being Josh. And yeah, I mean, yes, he's whiny and cringe at times for sure, and the fact that he survived over both Randy and Allison is pathetic. But I mean, I cannot help but want to maybe others, you know, don't care, but for me personally, personally, I cannot help but want to root for a guy and I just adore his passion. To me, he's not like too over the top, with his passion like other chefs can be. He just wants to do so well for his idol. And we all know that feeling. So I can't argue with anyone who really dislikes Josh. At the end of the day, he is an essential part of one of Hell's Kitchen's greatest seasons. But speaking of passion, the next man makes Josh look like Gennaro when it comes to passion, with that being Brett. And, I've said this before, Brett is probably the most passionate chef in Hell's Kitchen history. But, it doesn't take his passion out on others, and threatens them after, a bad service or whatever, and throwing chairs around. He'll start crying, he'll beat himself up, and he will be, over the top more than usual, than, most chefs, for sure. But at the same time, I'll also hype up his team, get them ready. I just respect Brett, more than dislike him, for sure. Say what you will about him in season 18, but as far as this season, I totally respect him. And the sad and funny thing all together, the fact that this insanely passionate guy just so happened to get pulled after taking a dump, what are the odds of that? So you can't help but feel for him there. And of course, it would have been so interesting to see how far he could have gone had it not been for this injury. At number 7 is Allison, a typical badass chef who I always love to root for. Not very memorable, but that's the thing. She fit in with some of the greatest chefs ever, and the fact that she didn't earn a black jacket is a crime. Again, had she been given a bit more content and made it farther, I'm sure she would have been in my top 5. But nonetheless, I still obviously really like Allison. At number 6 is the polarizing Michelle, who, let's be frank, is not that polarizing this season. I mean, she's pretty much just like Allison, where she's just a great chef and competing with the best of the best. And to finish 3rd place on a season like this at age 22, just incredible to me. Obviously, her friendship with Nick is awesome, had a bubbly and spunky personality. Again, say what you will about Michelle in All Stars, but I have a hard time seeing how you could dislike her this season. On to the top 5, and at number 5 is Randy. And Randy for sure would have been higher had it not been for his out of nowhere rage at his team during his boot episode. But other than that, another great chef this season, who, while not top tier of course, deserved to survive over Josh, especially when being on the winning team, and thus likely would have earned a black jacket, which would have been so cool. Just a general awesome dude and presence this season. At number 4 is Nick, and again, obviously not quite as dominant this season compared to All Stars, but still a great confessional giver. Like I said, his friendship with Michelle was super wholesome, and the fact that he could have very easily been an early boot this season, to go from that to competing with the best of the best was really cool to see. So yeah, I know I sound like a broken record here, but hey, that's season 14 for you. A great chef and a great person. You cannot do much better than Nick. But at number 3 is the best chef in Hell's Kitchen history, with that of course being Megan. Now I won't lie, she could be a bit over the top at times with her blunt personality, but come on, you have to respect her. Just completely dominating this season, and dominating like no chef frankly ever has. Insane leader, made one mistake on the line all season, and not only on the line, but in challenges and dinner services all season. I mean, she outclassed some of the best chefs in Hell's Kitchen history, just completely dominate this season. I mean, she's the best of the best, truly, which is why she lands here at number 3. At number 2 is many people's number 1 this season, with that being Millie. And yeah, he's this season wrapped up into one character, as obviously he was an amazing cook, arguably the best cook on the blue team, but insanely likable as well. And despite being a massive guy, he was literally a gentle giant. He broke down to Ramsay, about his past and in general, being extremely emotional, at times. He, of course, his fun rivalry with Megan was awesome, and him finally beating her was so wholesome. I mean, he's just one of the best characters in the history of the show, flat out. But at number 1, to me, is T. And I will admit, a lot of this is due to me just wanting to root for her against Megan, as Megan's win was so obvious and dominant. I wanted some competition. And that's the thing, T truly did give it her all against Megan, and literally wins most seasons of Hell's Kitchen. I mean, from the get-go, she was ready to go, and, it was very similar to Brett in that regard, as she was super passionate, but not too over-the-top passionate. Never made it personal or anything like that. And yet again, just another great chef and character this season. But to me, the fact that she was the one to take on Megan is what really separates her from the rest, and is why she's my favorite chef this season. So there you have it, guys. My ranking of every season 14 contestant. Again, a very tough list to make, as half the chefs are super talented with a great personality, so very tough to separate them. So let me know how you all would rank this cast in the comments below, and be sure to check out my season 15 ranking tomorrow. And with all that said, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.